let me know when we're ready. Okay, I want to welcome everyone to our May 14, 2018 City Council work session. The time now is 6:02. We're here to discuss the items on the regular agenda for May 2014. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments or concerns regarding any item on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll adjourn and we'll convene into executive session pursuant to 551.071, 072, and 074 of the Texas Government Code at 6:04. The time now is
Thank you. Will you please bow your head? Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day and for the many blessings you have given us. For the decisions and discussions this council has tonight, I pray for guidance, wisdom, and courage to know and to do what is right and good and true. May we be guided by the spirit of community and the spirit of justice. I ask for your healing love for our community and our leaders. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Nunn. Moving right along to our announcements and events, our City Secretary, Art Camacho.
Thank you, Mayor. The announcements for May 14th, 2018. The Carson Street project under State Highway 121 will remain closed for approximately 4 to 5 months, and upcoming construction will be further changing around the area, so please continue to visit the city's website to obtain the latest information on these extension of these dates. The main page of the city's website will indicate the latest information changes, and always remember to slow down and use caution in the construction zones. The Texrail Railroad contractor, AWH, will use construction flaggers to allow two-way traffic between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3:30 p.m., starting today all the way through Friday, to continue their work at the Haltom Road Railroad track between Stanley Keller and Glenview Roads. In the public library, teen programs, family movie nights, super science Saturdays, adult GED, ESL classes, and other library activities are all listed on the library's website for their dates and times. The summer reading program kickoff begins Friday, June 1st at 2 o'clock at the Haltom City Public Library, featuring the Dallas Puppet Theater. And the Birdville Read kickoff starts Saturday, June 2nd at 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the Fine Arts and Athletic Complex in North Richland Hills. And many of the activities they'll have are rock climbing, on a rock climbing wall, free book giveaway, animal petting zoo, costume characters, and much more. The Community Emergency Response Team will be holding their 5th annual water drive, in which citizens can donate bottled water for first responders on Saturday, June 2nd at the Central Fire Station from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. For information, please contact Susan Norris at 817-637-6332. The Junior Fire and Police Camp will be held July 23rd through the 27th, and the campers must be going into the 5th or 6th grade. It's $100 for the week, and it includes meals and their gear. And you can sign up on the city websites, and payment can also be made online. And they need to enroll as soon as possible because it is limited to 25 participants. The Haltom Senior Center will be having the Memorial Day celebration on Monday, May 21st from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at 5000 Bernice Street, with musical performance by Ken Nelson and special guest speaker, retired James A. Lair of the United States Navy. The Haltom City office facilities will be closed Monday, May 28th for Memorial Day, and will open business on Tuesday, May 29th. In Parks and Recreation, registration is now open for their full-day summer camp for kids ages 6 to 13 at the Rec Center. A different field trip will be taken each week, and breakfast, lunch, and snacks will be provided. The cost is $100 per week, plus a $25 registration fee. Camp has limited spaces, so you need to register soon. Registration for summer sports is happening now. Blast ball is for ages 3 to 5 and costs $45 a player. Girls Summer Volleyball League for ages 10 to 14, and the cost is $30 per girl or $250 on a team, and they must have a complete team. Summer Basketball League is for ages 8 to 12, and the cost will be $50 a player. The Birdville Cemetery Reunion will be held Saturday, May 19th from 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock, located at 6279 Cemetery Road. Lunch will be provided by Slotsky's, and everyone is asked to bring a complimentary side dish to share. And you can enjoy learning more about the historical cemetery. On Monday, May the 28th, the American Legion Post, number 655, will host a Memorial Day ceremony at the New Trinity Cemetery, located at 4001 Northeast 28th Street in Haltom City from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and all are welcome to attend. And the Parks and Rec would like to say that the 7th Annual Mayor's Cup Golf Tournament was held on Friday, May 4th at the Golf Club at Fossil Creek. They had 76 golfers and raised over $6,000 for the Refresh BISD, which beats last year's record, and they thank all their sponsors, staff, and neighboring cities for participating. And that's what we have announcements, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Moving right along to the presentation, Emergency Medical Service Week. Deputy Chief Brian Jacobs. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. Well, our boys just left on a call, so I guess I will not introduce them. But in honor of EMS Week, we'd like to present a proclamation on behalf of the Mayor. Whereas emergency medical service is a vital public service, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those experiencing sudden illness or injury, and whereas EMS is an important member of the healthcare community, and whereas personnel from MedStar, Haltom City Fire, the Police Department stand ready to provide compassionate, life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of EMS practitioners by designated Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, David Averett, Mayor of Haltom City, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 20 through 26, 2018 as Emergency Medical Services Week, with the theme EMS Strong, Strong Together in Haltom City. And with this, we have some members with MedStar, Mr. Hooten, the Executive Director, and Mr. Hooten, if you would, kind of introduce your staff here.
Sure.
And then they would like to present to you guys.
Well, thanks, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. So I have with me Ken Simpson, who's our Chief Operating Officer, and Matt Zavodsky, common spelling, who's our Chief Strategic Integration Officer. This is a great title. So on behalf of everybody at MedStar, thank you so much for this proclamation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, it's cool. Good photo. I love it. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So annually, we always thankful that you give us an opportunity to let us talk a little bit about our year in review. So as Brian said, I'm Doug Hooten, the Executive Director for the authority, MedStar, as you well know, and so we're pretty happy to talk to you about your EMS system. So when I say it's your EMS system, it's because we're a governmental entity that's composed of, well, you and 14 other cities just like you for the last 35 years to provide your EMS coverage. So thank you. And Haltom City is a great partner from the fire department and Perry Bynum, the fire chief here, and all of the staff that you have here, the police department. Everything that happens here happens as a system. It's not just about MedStar, and MedStar is certainly the EMS, the ambulance component of that, but we couldn't do this without all the great people who work here in Haltom City and respond to all these calls that we make on a day-to-day basis. So really, we want to make sure that they get the credit that they deserve each and every day. So we do have a little bit of a presentation. I think everybody should have gotten our new annual report. We give one of these every year. So I encourage you to spend a little time looking through it and seeing some of the great things that have happened at MedStar over the last year. So speaking of Perry, Perry, this last year when we redid the interlocals, we created a first responder advisory board. So Perry has represented this city on that board. That board also participates in the performance committee, which creates all the performance requirements for the system. So they now have a say about what all those standards are and how they get looked at. And then, of course, the continual counsel that we get from Perry is amazing. He's an amazing guy who's very smart about all the stuff that happens. And I know you guys know that because you made him fire chief, and you're lucky to have him. So that said, I do want to say that as part of the performance standard committee, we did change. They made recommendations for changes to some of the performance standards, and one of them was how we look at response times. So response times are very important in any community. The performance review committee decided that they really wanted to look at response times from a customer perspective, from the person calling. So the person calling on the phone doesn't really care about all the issues that go on with a call. All they care about is when they call and when somebody arrives, right? I mean, that's pretty straightforward. So we used to measure response time. They're all sort of measured a lot of different ways, but a lot of it had to do with how long it took us to get information from the patient, where they were, what was going on with them, before the ambulances would get dispatched. And so that could take up to a couple of minutes, a minute and a half, 2 minutes for that to occur. So we decided, and then the response time would start for the ambulance to respond. So we decided to roll that back. So response times now start from the time that they pick up the phone at our department. So that's about a 2-minute rollback in response time measurement, so that it reflects more of what the patient actually experiences from the time that they call 911. Now, when you call 911, of course, you get a primary answering point before it goes to MedStar for a secondary answering point. So there is time there that we can't measure because we don't have the ability to capture those times yet. But the performance committee is working on how we might be able to measure those times and even roll the time back further to match what the customers experience as we go through this. So turn this thing on so it works. And great, perfect. So at the end of the day, every year we look at the system and we add unit hours. So unit hours, or if you think about it, is how many hours we put on the street of ambulances every day in order to service the 438 square miles that we have to cover. So you can see that from 17 to 18, we added more unit hours every day. So to give you a perspective, in 2012 when I first came here, we had about 36, we peaked at about 36 trucks on the street any given day. Today we have 51 trucks on the street any given day. So it is, as the volume continues to grow, as cities continue to grow, the ambulance coverage continues to grow as well. And you can see there's some response times. You can see that the most important piece of this is that response times are trending down. This has to do a lot with how we're approaching deployment. And what I mean by that is where we strategically place our ambulances. And so this year we're looking, because we've always been sort of centrally located. So if you know, MedStar comes out of a big station there in Fort Worth, and every day everybody comes and they disperse all over that 438 square miles. Well, this year we're looking to build a secondary deployment center, and we're going to build it up here north, where we'll be deploying some of our resources out of here. Probably about 14 trucks will come out of this deployment center for this area specifically. So that will help us improve response times into the future. So that's sort of the response time stuff. Service enhancements include, how do people feel about the service? So one of the important things that we've done over the last few years is we have somebody externally from our organization who completes these surveys. Much like the hospital surveys that you would get if you went to a hospital, they're formatted exactly the same. They have a bunch of questions, and we're part of 126 different organizations in the country who do this, so that we have some ability to benchmark ourselves against other agencies like us on these same responses. And so I just want to, sort of our top box scores, if you will, the 5 highest scores are listed for you here. And you can see the first one, which I wanted to point out, which is extent to which the services received were worth the fees charged, which is important, how people feel about that service. And you can see 100% of the people who were surveyed said that they thought that these fees were worth the services that they received. And then you can see the rest of them, cleanliness and how the medics look and professionalism and things like that. So, and that's compared to about 88% for the database. So the total other groups that were there, their total scores are about 88. So we're very proud of that. The other piece of this is clinical performance. So this is obviously healthcare, and our Office of the Medical Director is constantly working to improve the clinical skills of the system. So this isn't just MedStar. This is the fire guys, this is the police guys, this is everyone who works in the system are always working to improve what we do. And you can see here, this is just a measure of how well and how efficiently we apply our CPR skills in the public. And you can see that that has consistently gone up over year, as well as the placement of an airway. So in critical situations, having to breathe for someone and put in an adjunct airway or an airway to do that, intubate them, we call it, you need to be very proficient at that. Because if you fail to do that, that results in a bad outcome. And you can see that over time, again, we've managed to improve the way that we secure those airways and the successful recognition of those airways. 96% of the time, those things go recognized and are put in the way that they should. The other 4%, they recognize that they don't do them right, and they pull out the airway and deal with that the way they need to. Other clinical performance measures, CPR cases, for bystander CPR. So we're constantly in communities trying to teach people that CPR saves lives, and the use of AEDs saves lives. And so we're constantly looking for how we can improve that in the communities, because that's the one thing we know for sure that will save a life. And so MedStar, as it compares to the rest of the nation, about 43% of our cases have bystander CPR. We're really looking to make that in the 80-90% range. So we have a big job ahead of us to continue to educate the public about how important CPR is. And AED is incredibly important. So I just happened to go to opening day for the Rangers. They lost. But at the end of the day, I went to the opening day for Rangers, but we stopped at a restaurant before we went. It was me and 3 friends, and a guy collapsed right at the table next to me, having a heart attack. And so got to perform CPR, but the restaurant didn't have an AED. And the thing that I think would have saved this guy's life was if they had an AED, and they didn't. The fire department got there and worked on the guy, but unfortunately he didn't make it. But the point being is that this is a life-saving measure, and you never know when that's going to happen. So the encouragement to promote AED use is something we want to certainly keep out there. Talk about patient care and integration of our systems. So we use an electronic patient care report called ImageTrend, and we're looking to spread that to all the fire departments so that we can collect all the clinical data and be on a similar platform. So the authority is paying for all the software for that, and we're working on how we can get the tablets done. So we're currently working with all the fire departments to get that done, including Haltom City. Will be coming online with that. Computer-aided dispatch. We bought a new CAD this last year, and as you know, putting a new CAD in place is very painful, but we have managed to get through all of the steps of that and get it up and running over the last 18 months. And now the part of that CAD that we're working on is integrating it with all the other cities. So we've integrated with Fort Worth. We're now in the process of finishing up the integration with Burleson, and we're in discussions currently with Perry and the fire chief here to integrate with this city. So that will allow us to seamlessly transfer data back and forth. So there's no more picking up a phone and calling somebody. It literally, when we dispatch a truck, it dispatches to your system as well. When you dispatch a truck, it dispatches back to our system. So it's automatic. The great news about this dispatch system is it doesn't require a whole lot of human interface for us. So once the call taker sort of takes the call and puts it in, it automatically selects the truck and dispatches it off. So it happens within seconds of somebody calling, and then the call taker will finish the call. So this is a big project, and we're looking forward to working with Haltom City to accomplish that, to really help make us seamless in the system. Talk a little bit about an Explorer Post. We've started an Explorer Post. So some of you may know this is a way to get people young people exposed to EMS and what EMS is about, and bringing them and seeing how all that works. And so we have 23 members that are interested in EMS careers that are currently participating in community projects and a lot of stuff around that. We continue our mobile integrated healthcare programs, all of which you're familiar with. I just wanted to give you a little highlight. We've had 133 Haltom City residents enrolled in the programs that you see. And more so than that, remember we have the 911 nurse triage. So if you call 911 and you have a low acuity call, we send that over to a nurse who helps you sort of navigate your issue. And you've had 242 of your citizens who have gone through that program. And 71 of those folks did not go to an emergency room by ambulance. They went to some other place for their care by some other means, which certainly helps the system out by keeping resources available for those true emergencies. It helps out the citizen because they end up in a place where they get better care faster at a more reasonable rate. So that's worked really well. The other thing I'll tell you about that, we do measurement of customer satisfaction with those programs as well. And so you just imagine these are people who called 911 expecting to get an ambulance to the emergency room, and you see 71 of those folks went someplace else. The satisfaction scores on a Likert 1 to 5 are about a 4.9. So they're very happy with the services that they receive, and would be happy to tell you more about those programs. But at the end of the day, these programs are working really well. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about Star Saver. So the Star Saver programs, and we have put some new, filled up the little kiosk up front, but it is a program that helps offset any costs that might be associated with an ambulance visit, which are pretty expensive, like everything in healthcare. Right? An ambulance call could cost you about $1,500 to the hospital, give or take, and to offset that, Star Saver for $69 a year for you and anyone in your household will write off any remaining balances. You will not get balance bill for medically necessary ambulance transportation. So for the dollar, it's pretty cheap. And I know I hear all the time, well, I'll probably never use an ambulance, but 400 times a day we meet people who say they don't think they'll ever need an ambulance. So it's very possible, and I can tell you that this will help you not have to worry about the financial impact of an ambulance bill. So I think we kept it pretty short and to the point. So I'll take any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Hooten. Are there any questions from the council for Mr. Hooten? Seeing none, excellent presentation. Thank you, sir.
So much. Have a great night.
Thank you. So moving right along to our consent agenda, which consists of items number 1 through 5. Does the council have any questions or comments regarding any item on our consent agenda? Seeing none, we're now in line for a motion. Councilmember Grove.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as stated in our agenda.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember, Thompson.
That's for a second, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion for approval and a second. If you would, please signify your votes. Motion passes unanimous, and Councilmember Dr. Trong is not here this evening. So Councilmember Dr. Trong is not here. Moving right along to our regular agenda, agenda item number 6, which is ordinance number O-2018-019-15. Ms. Batchelor, welcome.
Evening, Mayor and Council. This is to conduct a public hearing and consideration and or action on behalf of Texacare Home Services for a zoning change request from C3 Commercial to SF2 Single Family, locally known as 2017 Owen Street. The applicant requests to rezone the subject site in order to get financing for the single-family home. The bank will not close this transaction for the single-family home until the zoning is reflective of what the property is currently built for. There is no financial impact. On April 24, 2018, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended unanimous approval of ordinance O-2018-1915 by a vote of 6-0. Look at the screen here. This is the property 2017. To the north is SF2 Single Family 2021 Owens and 2013 SF2. These were rezoned February 2016 on 2021, October 2015 on 2013. So these two surrounding properties have already been taken care of. This is only remaining one on the west side of Owens. This is the property seeking the rezone. This is to the south on Owens, to the north, and facing east across the street. And I'm available for any questions. The applicant is also here.
Thank you, Ms. Batchelor. Let's see here, Councilmember Grow.
Ms. Batchelor, on that area, is that supposed to be, what's the club say it's supposed to be?
Designates the subject site as the Belknap Corridor Overlay District, which is an overlay built on retail and office use.
Yeah, so I know it.
So the
On that
ordinance
bit,
is changing that
yeah.
also.
So it's currently what the club's supposed to say, but it's supposed to go back to single family?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Grove. Are there any other questions or comments from the council for Ms. Batchelor? Okay, excellent presentation.
Thank you.
So this is a public hearing, so we'll now open the public hearing at 7:27 for anyone wishing to speak regarding this agenda item. Again, this is agenda item number 6. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:28, and we are now in line for a motion. I want everybody to jump in at once. Councilmember Grove.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance Oscar-2018019-019-15, also known as Zulu-003-18, for the rezoning from C3 to SF2. First reading.
First reading, okay, thank you, sir. We have a motion for approval. Councilmember Brown. Thank you, sir. We have a motion for approval in a second. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, if you would please signify your votes. Okay, motion passes unanimous. Thank you, council. Moving right along to agenda item number 7, which is resolution number R-2018-006-01. Mr. Camacho.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, we had a general election and a special election held on May 5th, 2018. We have a resolution that shows the canvassing of the election results. And I'm just going to go ahead and read through the first part of this. This is a resolution election ordered by the City Council of the City of Haltom City, Texas, canvassing and declaring the results of the May 5th, 2018 general and special election. Whereas a general election was duly held, a general and a special election was duly held in the city of Haltom City, Texas, on the 5th day of May, 2018, to elect council members places 3, 4, 5, and 6, and also a special election was duly held to vote on a bond proposition. The mayor and the city council duly canvassed the vote of said election on the 14th of May, 2018. And we did have an unofficial results, and I received the official results late Friday evening, and there was no change in the total votes that we have for any of the candidates, or also for the special election Proposition A or Proposition B. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Haltom City, Texas. The City Council finds that the results of the general and special election as set forth above are correct, and the canvass of votes is hereby approved. The total of votes cast during the absentee voting was 169. Early voting was 938 by personal appearance, and 446 votes were cast on election day. The total number of votes cast in this election was 1,553. Section 3, Lynn Thompson is hereby declared to have been elected to the office of Council Place 3. Brant Weiss is hereby declared to have been elected to the office of Council Member Place 4. Bob Watkins is hereby declared to have been elected to the office of Council Member Place 5. Ricky Brown is hereby declared to have been elected to the office of Council Member Place 6. Proposition A, involving the City Hall Police Station, is hereby declared to have failed to garner enough votes for passage. Proposition B, the fire station, is hereby declared to have succeeded in garnering enough votes for passage. And the council can make the decision to pass and approve this on May 14th, 2018.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Mr. Fowler.
That was for a motion, Mayor.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're in line for a motion. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I move to adopt resolution numbered R-2018-006-01, canvassing of the returns and declaring the results of the general election and the bond election.
Thank you, sir. Motion for approval. Councilmember Grove.
That's for a second, sir.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions or comments regarding this? Seeing none, if you would please signify your votes. Okay. Thank you. The resolution passes unanimous. Yeah, moving right along to agenda item number 8, recognition of outgoing council member, Mr. Trey Fowler. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, let me turn on the right mic. First of all, I'd like to thank those that stood with me and stayed with me. I'm just going to go by first names: Jack, Darren, Mary, Karen, Kelly, Bubba, Jimbo, Dewey, Joe, Willis, Gary, and of course Ricky and Miss Nunn. I want to thank y'all, and I appreciate y'all staying there. I want to welcome our new council member, Mr. Weiss, and wish him the best of luck. I want to also congratulate Councilmember Brown and Councilmember Watkins for their re-elections. Proud of you guys, and hope y'all continue to move forward. Of course, I've always enjoyed this and done the best I can to try to help the taxpayers and property owners in this town. Obviously, it's time for me to have an opportunity to retire and do a little more fishing, as I've said I was going to do. I've been able to go 3 times in 10 days, so it's all good. Life's good. Am a little bit discouraged with the level at which there's vitriol that's taken place within our community. Saddens me that we have a lot of outside influence that's probably maybe it'll all work itself out in the wash. I hope it will, because I think that the citizens and the people that are like I say, the taxpayers and the property owners of this town should be the ones that make the decision in what goes on, without a lot of external influence. But like I say, that stuff works itself out through cycles, and it all takes place, and it will all come about at some point in the future. So, in saying that, though, I appreciate I had a couple of members of staff, especially want to say thanks to Miss Batchelor for all you've done. Of course, y'all know I'm the planning and zoning. I like that stuff, so I appreciate you've done a great job, and I appreciate everything you've done for the city. Mr. Van Nieuwenhuis and the Public Works, you guys don't always get the credit that's due. Public Works provides water, streets, a lot of things that we need. They're very important. I want to thank Christy that's here tonight with the Parks Department. She's been a great asset to this city. I also want to thank Bobby Arthur, our senior director. She's been, there's just none better than Bobby. She speaks for herself. And I want to thank Rex for, every time I've called and needed something or asked for anything and tried to move things forward from a planning, from a, construction, from a citizen that has a problem, no matter what it was, you've stepped up and helped. And I want to thank y'all for that. Y'all are, like I say, y'all do and go above and beyond for this community, and I do appreciate all the hard work that y'all have done and the support that y'all have given me in trying to take care of issues. So, in saying that, Mayor, that's all I have, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone on the council who'd like to say a few words for Mr. Fowler before he departs? Councilmember Gray.
Councilman Fowler, I've really, the time that I've been here, the 3 years I've been here, I've learned a tremendous amount from you. And the questions that you've asked, you've known the answers that you've asked them. And a lot of the questions was a point of education for the people that don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what 6 feet back of sidewalk or back of curb is. So the knowledge that you bring to the council will be missed. And so Councilman Brown, since he's the other construction individual, will have to pick up the mantle and run with, I guess, run with the baton on that. But I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Grove. Anyone else? Ms. Thompson.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge, just as Mr. Grove has indicated, and your ability and what you've done for our city in the past up to this point. It is appreciated, and we wish you well, and catch big fish.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Councilmember Watkins.
I can't begin to thank you for all I've learned from you since, I think, 1991, is that when you were a liaison for the Zoning Board of Adjustment? And you'd come flying in covered in grass, but I've learned a tremendous amount from you, and I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Watkins. Anyone else? Seeing none. Well, Trey, Councilmember Fowler. You know, like's already been said here. You know, we've known each other for many years. We served from '93 to '95, 2002 to 2004, and 2014 to to right now. And it's been an experience. I've learned a lot from you. I want to thank you for everything you've taught me, everything you've done for our community, and it's been a privilege to serve with you. And I want to thank you for everything you've done. And with that being said, thank you, sir. You get to retire now. Okay, moving right along to agenda item number 9, oath of office. Council members Brown, Watkins, Thompson, and Weist, if you would meet. I guess Art and I both down here.
We're going to do each one of y'all one at a time. So we'll start with Lynn. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Haltom City Council Member, Place 3
Haltom City Council, Place 3
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. Congratulations. I state your name.
I, Brent Weist,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Haltom City Council Member, Place 4
Haltom City Council Member, Place 4
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Bob Watkins,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Haltom City Council Member, Place 5
of Haltom City Council Member, Place 5
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
protect, preserve, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Always.
I state your name.
I, Ricky Brown,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Haltom City Council Member, Place 6
of Haltom City Council Member, Place 6
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Lord.
Thank you. Let's give them all. Grant, I'm going to ask you if you want to replace the nameplate, and you're welcome to slide that one out. And the mayor now will do the certification.
Okay, it's my privilege to present to each council member their certificate of election. So we'll start with Ms. Thompson, if you would. I'll just read this to everyone. And it says, in the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, this is to certify that as a result of a general election held May 5th, 2018, Linda Lynn Thompson was duly elected as council member, Place 3. Congratulations, my friend. Says the same thing. In the name and of the authority by the state of Texas, this is to certify that as a result of a general election held May 5th, 2018, Brent Wiest was duly elected as council member, Place 4. Congratulations, my friend. Mr. Watkins, in the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, this is to certify that as a result of a general election held May 5th, 2018, Bob Watkins was duly elected Councilmember, Place 5. Congratulations, sir.
I'm well, how are you, sir?
I'm great. In the name and of the authority that is by the state of Texas, this is to certify that as a result of a general election held May 5th, 2018, Ricky Brown was duly elected City Council Member, Place 6. Congratulations. At this time, I would like to give an opportunity for those who are just sworn in, an opportunity to say anything that you'd like to say to your supporters or to the citizens. Ms. Thompson?
Thank you for allowing me to serve. Don't ask me why like this. It's an honor and a privilege. The most important thing I want you to know is that I want to be a voice for the citizens. I want to be able to communicate that, regardless of the information, to the people so that we can unite our community and make it a better environment and a place for our young kids to want to stay once they become adults. So that is my hope, and I'm here as your servant. Thank you.
Mr. Weist.
Am on. There we are. My list is so long, I'm not going to do that to y'all. We'd be here all night. Thank you, everybody. I see a bunch of my friends that I've made along the way this race. Been 4 years in the making. As I've told everybody for the past 4 years, together we can create a better Haltom City. And finally that message was heard. I thank the 878 people that put their trust and faith in me. I will make mistakes. So if I make a mistake, sorry, I'm gonna apologize now. I'm probably everybody's best friend right now, but I'll probably make somebody mad down the road. That's just the way it goes. So thank y'all very much. I thank my Lord for giving me a servant's heart for the city, as well as for, as many know, I do some mission projects as well. So if y'all got any questions for me, I'll be around. I'm also gonna have an email address out there eventually, if not already. Just let me know. Let's work together and let's get our city moving forward. Thank you.
Mr. Watkins.
I want to thank the citizens for coming out and voting. I want to thank all the citizens that voted for any of us for anything. I wish there were more like you. I became involved, as I mentioned a while ago, in 1991 on the Zoning Board of Adjustment. And I moved across the street in 1993. And our daughter Jackie will tell you I spend more time over here than I do across the over where I'm supposed to be. But I feel like I'm a public servant. I learned this from my wife when she was mayor, that we're not politicians, we're public servants. And as I am across the street or over here about 10 or 12 hours a day. So anybody that wants me, my telephone number's everywhere. Call me. Now don't call me if you don't want to know what I think, because I'm going to tell you what I think. Thank y'all.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes, I'll be real brief. I'd just like to thank all the citizens of Haltom City for your endorsement by your vote. Thank you.
Council members, I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Moving right along to our Visitors and Citizens Forum, this is an opportunity for anyone in the audience wishing to come up and speak before the City Council. Seeing none, moving right along, there's no future agenda items. Resignation of board members. I didn't see any. Appointments or reappointments. Okay, let's see here. Oh, Councilmember Thompson.
Yes, sir, Mayor. I have 4 reappointments that I would like to present tonight. The first being James Jimbo White on the Zoning Board of Adjustments. The second one I have is Suzanne Norris for the Fire Services Board. The next I have is Loretta Dubois for the library, and Kyle Smith for planning and zoning.
Thank you, ma'am. If you would, please ratify with your votes. I wish I could get the names back up there. Ricky? Motion's unanimous. Thank you. I have just a reappointment, and I'll do that real quickly. It's the Civil Service Commission, Susan Ora and Bill Lanford. We already have, it's a reappointment, so we have their information on file. So if you would, just please ratify with your votes. Brent? Okay, motion passes. Is there anyone else? Councilman Watkins? Okay, we can go to Councilmember Brown.
Sure. Yes, I'd like to reappoint at this time to the Library Board, Mrs. Bonnie Richards, for the Fire Services Board, Mr. David McConnell, Park and Recreation, Ms. Dana Kaufman, and Planning and Zoning, Ms. Juanita Adams, and for the Economic Development Corporation, Mr. Bob Watkins.
Okay, if you would, please. Oh, Mr. Watkins?
Yes, I'd like to nominate, put up for reappointment Bertie Blocker for the Beautification Board, Jerry Ganaway for the CCPD Red Light Board, Herb Williams for Fire Services Board, Patsy Sullivan for the Library Board, Penny Clowers for the Parks and Rec Board, Karen Hudson for the P&Z, and Larry Pinkerton for the ZBA, and Mr. Ricky Brown for the Economic Development Corporation.
Should we hold off on the EDC appointments until Dr. Trong is here?
No.
Okay, I would personally recommend we hold off on any EDC appointments until Dr. Trong is here. That way we have, because my personal opinion is we should open it up to more council members instead of this reappointing the same people who've been on there for the last several years. Councilmember Grow, for an example, expressed an interest. Councilmember Nunn has already expressed an interest. Dr. Trong may have an interest. Councilmember Wiest or Thompson may have an interest in serving on there.
Mr. Mayor, we just re-ratified.
You're
Mr.
right.
Watkins.
I didn't realize that until after we'd already ratified Councilmember Watkins. So I'm just saying, any future going forward, I think we should hold off on that, because right now we're just reappointing the same people who have been on there for many number. Not necessarily Mr. Brown, of course, but I'm talking about Mr. Watkins, who've been on there since 2014. So that's just my recommendation. But again, we have a slate of candidates for reappointments.
No.
So if you would just, you want to break those up individually, the reappointments?
I made my
Okay,
nomination.
we're gonna do those individually, Bob, if you would, please.
Let's start with the EDC.
Okay.
I nominate Ricky Brown for the Economic Development Corporation.
Okay, so we have a recommendation for Councilmember Brown for the EDC.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll continue on down the next line.
Do you want me to do each one of the rest of them individually or as a group?
How do you prefer to do it?
I don't see a need to go individually.
Okay, we'll go as a group then.
I'm sorry. I nominate Bertie Blocker for the Beautification, Jerry Ganaway for CCPD Red Light, Herb Williams for Fire Services, Patsy Sullivan for Library, Penny Clowers for Parks, Karen Hudson for P&Z, Larry Pinkerton for the ZBA. This is some kind of record. Me or no one's ever gotten their full board on the first night.
Moving right along to excused absences, again, Dr. Trong is not here. So do we have a motion for excusing an absence? Councilmember Weist.
Make a motion, we approve Dr. Tron's absence.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Thompson.
That's for a second, Mayor.
Thank you. Motion for approval, excusing his absence in his.
You have to do a hand vote.
We have to do a hand vote. Okay, we have to do a hand. Well, all in favor would have to raise your right hand.
All in favor, Dr. Thompson? Okay, unanimous.
Unanimous, okay. We have no executive session, so with that, we'll adjourn at 7:57, and now we are going to have a reception right outside.